Good morning. Welcome, everybody. This is the Coffee Break Show. I'm Vicki Helm. And, I had a late start today. We had a little bit of technical difficulty. We're on right now. I have Darrell Evans with me, and we are going to be talking about two of my favorite subjects today. But first, we got to hear the music. I'll see you in a second. You're on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. I'm Vicki Helm. This is a Coffee Break Show, and we're having a moment of deja vu right now, Darrell and I, because we've done this part already. We're going to be doing it again. We had a bit of technical difficulty, so wherever you are, if you're on Pandora, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Audible, Roku TV, Amazon TV, wherever you are, we are now live, and we are going to have one of the most powerful conversations today. Darrell Evans is an investor, an entrepreneur, a very successful marketer. He's actually helped business revenues up to, I think it was $300 million now or more than that. And today, what we're going to be talking about is how to level up your business, how to get to the point where you're having more money, more, contact and more leverage in your business using marketing skills. So now I know we're on. Hi, welcome, Darrell. Looking forward to this conversation. This is my better half. I know you guys know Robin. So what's going to happen here for this first part, Darrell, is I just want to welcome you to the Coffee Break Show first off. And thank you for doing this again. Thank you for the deja vu moment.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And, technology happens sometimes. And we just have to, the beauty of this is that we have the beauty of this opportunity. And every now and then we just got to deal with some tech snafus every now and then.
Yeah. And that was it. So, I want to just start and dig in right now. I want to know why you do what you do, how you started, what was the impetus that you said, I want to do this, and why you love what you do so much.
Okay, great. So I want to start with the why I do what I do. I've been a small business owner since my early 20s, and I've always started building businesses with very lean resources. I've never been a venture funded capital guy, and I've always believed in using what you have to get the result, right? And starting small and then letting it grow.
Yeah.
Well, if as it relates to where I'm at today with digital marketing, this is my sixth business, and it actually really started in 2003. In 2003, I was growing a rapidly growing mortgage practice and real estate business. And I was dealing with the number of people that I was talking to on a monthly basis in terms of prospects. I was running direct marketing ad campaigns. I got my kind of marketing started in the copywriting world. So I'm a great advertiser in that regard. But I had this problem of realizing that the more and more that I grew, the more people I was coming in contact with, the more relationships I had to manage, the more I was repeating myself over and over again. And I said, which is kind of the way I solve problems is, I wonder if there's a better way to do this. And sure enough, I lucked on the opportunity of email marketing in 2003. And the reason I looked to email marketing was I would get a prospective customer who wanted to perhaps buy a home and acquire a mortgage back then. And let's say, for example, they were in the military. They were transferring from San Antonio to Nellis Air Force Base here in Las Vegas, but they weren't going to be here for 10 months. So it's not practical for us to start a mortgage application, run credit, and all of these things. But I realized that since everyone knows someone in the real estate industry and the lending industry, and they bank somewhere, if I wanted the opportunity to get a chance to get the business, I needed to stay top of mind until they were ready to buy, until they got closer to where the triggering event would have to happen. And so I said, okay, well, if I've got to have these conversations anyway, could I actually outsource those conversations, not just to another human, but could I outsource it to technology? And so that led me to start an email marketing campaign where after that first phone call, I then set up a 52-part email drip system, as it was called back then. And I just educated them on the home buying process for the next 12 months. Now, if they purchased beforehand, of course, we would take them out of it. But that was my first love to digital. And then it led to online CRM, again, customer relationship management. Something I talk about a lot is you have people who are strangers who become prospective customers who become leads, who become customers. And then there's two other levels that I talk about in terms of managing lifetime value. And that is you can turn customers into advocates and advocates into raving fans. And so you need a CRM to do that. So that was my second sort of technology love. And then it became all of the things, right? Oh, you mean instead of email, I can actually put these same videos on YouTube. So I started a YouTube channel 07, 08, Twitter, Facebook 09. And then the world came to an end, right?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Then the world came to an end, as some people might remember it, right? It seems to do that every
especially mortgage and real estate.
Just the world comes to an end every 8 to 10 years. Yeah. It just came to an end a couple of years ago too, if we all remember. But during the time when the world came to an end, the second to last time, I said, oh, a lot of my business clients, a lot of my investor clients didn't know about these technologies that I was using to acquire customers. And what got me through the downturn of that market was the fact that I was getting customers online, not because I was an SEO guru, not because I was running, Facebook ads that early, because I didn't start running Facebook ads until 2012. But I was like, oh, they don't even know this stuff even is around. And they're still advertising $5,000 a month on a phone book, $3,000 a month on a billboard, and all these things. And I'm like, oh, I'm not spending anywhere close to that kind of money. And so I just said, oh, this is an interesting opportunity. Long story short, consulted with a few companies, ended up meeting my partner along the way. We started the agency in 2011. And again, we've been helping small to mid-sized companies now for the last decade, 12 years now, grow revenue.
Fantastic. And right now, everybody is so worried about growing revenues because what we used to use, because I want to go as far back as 2003 when you started, because, back then I could say the basics of the internet, the basic rudiments of the internet are there. Email marketing, contact with your customer, content creation, your drip system talking about 52 parts. That's when you're putting in the work. Then we got social media, and social media seemed to be a way that we could get information that we normally couldn't get. We had tracking systems that allowed us to cookie people and follow them everywhere around the internet and what they bought and what they did and what they did. And then our advertising became so specific. We could say, I want to sell something to moms in the 35 to 45 range who have kids in high school who are playing football. And suddenly marketing became easy and people were throwing money at it. So now we have this iOS thing happening with iOS 14.5 and 15, and it's affecting all of the easy marketing skills that we used to have, that 88% of the population has opted out of now. So that easy marketing has gone down to this group of people who don't know. Around the world, 88% of the marketing. And one of the things that you're talking about, the rudiments of marketing, those basic platform, all proven systems that have just been email marketing over and over and over and over again for years and years and years. It's been the bedrock of marketing. So now we have a bunch of people who don't know what to do, don't know where to go. They're so used to having an agency come by and go, do it all for me and do it all for me quickly. And now, as of this year, pixel data isn't even being able to be used. You can't use analytics, Google Analytics anymore. And some countries have literally outlawed using Google Analytics. I think Austria is now outlawing. And I'm wondering if you were sitting now with a new client and let's say they're a startup, because if you're an established business, maybe you can afford the expense of the rise in cost of Facebook ads. Maybe you can afford that, or maybe you can afford Google or Bing right now. But let's say you're right now starting up and you have no list. You have a business idea. What are 3 things that somebody who's starting out right now, who has nothing, what would you suggest they do? And what would you offer them as an agency? And what can they do organically as well?
Wow. Loaded question. Lots of angles here. Let me just give a little context, and I agree with everything you said, right? So where I started was in the world of what we would now be called. I hate all the fancy words that everybody's coming up with today, but today the word is first party data. If you're not a
Yeah,
good
it's first
first
party data.
party data gatherer, then you won't make it. And what that simply means is you control the data instead of letting a platform control the data, which another phrase that I use is don't build your business on rented soil, on rented land. It's okay with social media. It's okay with Facebook and TikTok and YouTube and all the platforms, but they own the customer and they own the data.
That's
And
right.
so when they change the the algorithm, don't be mad at them because they're optimizing their business. You need to optimize yours. Fair enough?
Yes.
Fair enough. So I have to say this over and over to people I've been coaching and training and companies we work with. We are responsible to help a business grow on platforms we don't own. So our first objective is to start finding ways to own the data, own the customer relationship. And that means whether they're a prospective customer, a lead, or a customer or beyond. Okay, let's get to your high pressure question, startups. Startups with, and we'll assume a little amount of capital. You do have to have capital, otherwise it's probably not wise to start a business. I do believe in sweat equity, but we're going to talk about the digital realm, and I don't think you can become successful as a startup without some capital in the digital realm. But let me tell you what I would do. And I guess there is a little bit of a tangent on who the type of business is: business to consumer, business to business, local, brick and mortar, etc. But let me see if I can give you the way I think about the framework, no matter what kind of customer it is. And the work comes before the tactical execution of a strategy or the platform we might be executing on. And here's what I like to say, and here's how we teach it to our clients. Here's how we work it on our team. Is let's be sure we understand who your ideal customer is. And let me be clear, I'm not talking about their demographics, how old they are, what neighborhood. I'm not talking about demographics. I'm talking about what is going to happen with your ideal customer, what problem is going to arise in their life that would trigger them to want to solve the problem that your product or service intercepts with their desire. Because we can't sell anything. People only buy what they want to buy, and they only want to buy something that's going to solve a problem for them in their life. So how do we intercept the journey that they will go on, right? So inevitably, Vicky, it ends up being that we need to be somewhere around Google, whether it's Google Ads, whether it's local SEO, organic content. And we always, always, always start there, because there are 5 stages of awareness. By the way, I didn't make this up. This is something I learned in the 90s, but there are 5 stages of awareness that your buyer is going to go through. It doesn't matter if you're a startup or you're like the person who I just spoke to who works at Microsoft an hour ago.
Yep.
When a consumer has a problem that they want to solve, either A, they're unaware that they even have the problem or they haven't encountered the problem. B, they become problem aware that there is something now happening in my life that I need to deal with. Doesn't matter what you sell, but they decided there's a problem and they need to deal with it. The step 3, or C, is they are going to go on some journey to start looking for a solution to the problem that we identified here. Your job is to figure out what are the problems that they're going to have and what journey are they going to go on? What is the likely path that they're going to go? Easy way to think about this is, if your product or is your customer at 11 o'clock at night going to go look on Facebook for an answer to that problem, or Google or Bing, whatever you want to call it?
Interesting. Yeah.
Right. So the point of distinction is don't get that wrong. Right. Doesn't matter what your budget is. You can't get that wrong. You can't get step 3 wrong. If you get step 3 right, then let's say it's Google. Let's say the realization is they're going to Google something. And I always like to say, sit in your customer's seat at 11 o'clock at night. They'd like to be asleep, but they're not. They then go to their computer. Now what? What are they going to do? Are they going to scroll Instagram looking for? Are they going to scroll Facebook looking for?
Going to Google.
Are they likely going to Google, right? So if we agree that that's the case, then it becomes, okay, if they go to Google, the next step is they become not just solution aware, but now they have to become product aware. And I like to say they need to be your product aware. They need to find you here.
Yep.
Right. So step 4 is obviously they've got to find you. And then step 5 is you got to do the closing process, right? So this is decision aware, right? So Vicky, what I always tell people is we need to show up at the point of the triggering event. A lot of people want to show up when they're ready to make the decision down here, and it's too
Interesting.
late. It's too late. So if it's 11 o'clock at night, I'm going to use a real example. I got divorced 14, 15 years ago. It happened. I hadn't intended to have it happen, and it didn't happen overnight. You with me on that?
True.
So
Happens over time.
it happened over time. And so when I became problem aware that it might happen, or that it was a possibility that it could happen, and I went to the internet, I didn't want to book a meeting with a lawyer that night.
Right.
I wanted some things to be answered in my mind. What are we going to do with these houses? Alimony, business interest.
Yeah.
These were the sorry, up to two. These were the problems that I'm thinking about. It wasn't about, oh, let's book a free consultation with an attorney to go have a $400 hour conversation. So I always say that we have to figure out what's the problems, and we try to identify all the problems. And if we can identify all the problems, Vicky, here's where the magic starts happening. With low budget to no budget, here's where now the social media platforms happen to help you, because they don't charge you to use the social media platform. They don't charge you to post your content, and
That's
you can
right.
get away with $1 a day advertising budget to produce the content and promote it to the right people who could have the problem. Here's what I mean. So we take our expert clients and we interview them, and we break down the questions that they normally would have been writing blog posts for, or someone would have been like,
Interesting.
right? And so we take the same questions we would have hoped to find them on Google for, and we do write the blog post, but we also then spit the video out, and then we cut the audio out, and then we quote the expert saying what they would have said on the blog post. So now we proliferated the content in multiple places, including social media. But here's the thing. On Google, they went to Google to look for an answer. On social, you have to push the answer to them. And that's where targeting and marketing and pixeling got kind of a little weird back in the day. Back in the day, and you know this, Vicky, a lot of marketers today have been exposed. It's almost like in the 90s when you had never been through a bear market and you were a financial advisor when the market did nothing but go up. There's going to be some advisors right now while the market are down that only saw a rising market since 2010. And now they're exposed because they don't know how to navigate the storm, right? There are a lot of marketers today who don't know how to navigate this world that we're in. Look, Apple didn't ruin your business. Facebook didn't ruin your business. You were playing on rented soil, and you thought that you owned the business. No, they owned the business. They just made a decision that was in their interest. And now you're mad about it. So anyway, if I'm a new business owner, I'm using $1 a day ad strategy around kind of the layer that I just talked about. So it's starting at Google. What would they be searching? There's tons of keyword research tools, but you really have to know what that research looks like, what's going on in their head, and then map out the content track, because everything starts in digital with content. You can't get away from it. It has to start with content. The problem is most people don't want to create it. Hey, Darrell, I'm not a writer, so I don't want to write a blog post.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And, you know, it's so interesting because, and I want to go back to this because I know this is video. This is one way of producing content. But the truth is that readers are more successful and wealthier. And what happens is the average person doesn't read. So if the average person doesn't read another book after college or high school, whatever they've done, but readers are people who consume in such a way. It's like when you write content, when you make content, if you're like, here's my meme, or you're unwilling to write a book or a blog post, you're not speaking to the client who's actually you want to have. The client you actually want to have isn't scrolling TikTok to say, oh my God, this is going to save my life. I'm going to find that information.
Right.
Now, they're either going to read a book or go to YouTube or look on Google. And when they go on Google, you're absolutely right. They are looking for something to read to educate themselves. And hopefully it's your book that's out there, your blog post or whatever. Even though I think video has a place, video has a place in all places. You're right. I think content creation is still king, and the pen is still mightier than everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to say also, and you're 100% right. I think the challenge today is the startup. They
Yeah.
have so many things to do,
Yes.
so many places to be, so many things on their plate. And so the question is how do you get leverage and scale? Just like the problem that I wanted to solve was when I was growing my business, and that business was a startup. It was only 2 years old at that time, and but it was starting to hit momentum, and I needed to solve the problem. So the question that you have to ask yourself is what's the best mechanism for me to get leverage out of the thing that I have to do, but maybe I'm not the best at? What is the thing that I have to do, but
Yes.
maybe I don't have all the team members for? So for me, it started in 2007 with video, and video isn't for everyone, but I do believe it's for anyone where you're selling face to face. I think you must consider video if you're selling face to face. And here's what happened with me.
Absolutely.
I started a YouTube channel 2007. And again, I just took the same thing I was doing in email that I was sending out in the drip system, and I just started populating frequently asked questions on YouTube. It was before becoming a YouTuber was famous. I wasn't trying to become a YouTuber or it was too early for that. But what happened was people who searched Google, and Google owns YouTube for those that they should know
That's
now.
right.
So videos will show up on the first page of Google in some cases before a
That's
blog
right.
post ever will,
That's right.
if you do it right. So I think there's the opportunity, but when you're a startup entrepreneur, it's always about leverage. It's always about the minimal viable thing that you can be doing. I have something in my program called lean marketing, a lean marketing plan. So someone says, I don't have much money. Great. You're going to be on a lean marketing plan. What does that mean? It means we're going to go after one customer avatar. We're going to go after them with one problem that they want to solve. We're going to create one solution for them to solve it in and get on one journey or track that they can find it on. It isn't trying to be everything at the same time at the beginning. It's like get narrow. I always say in order to scale
Yes.
up, we have to scale down.
Yes.
Right. So instead of trying to be everything to everybody, when I first started, and I like to pick on the real estate industry because it's even in my company, if you look at the name of the company's called Yokel Local Internet Marketing. That's my agency. The name of my target audience initially is right in the name. It was
Yokel.
only local businesses to start. We've since gone on to do international companies and things like that, but it's in the company name. When I was in the mortgage industry, I only called on first-time home buyers at the beginning,
Mm.
only for 2 years. That's all I did. I didn't speak the language of an investor until probably year 4. I didn't talk to vacation home buyers and investors and business owners, and I didn't talk to anyone if they had already previously owned a home until like year 3 or 4 in my business. Get narrowly focused because then your marketing message is
Interesting.
laser clear. You understand your target audience better than others, and you're able to serve them at a high level. Because look, when I tried to do for anyone who's even heard about the process of building a custom house from scratch,
Yeah.
I was on the financing side of some deals like that. And it is just not the same as when you finance an existing property.
That's
There's
true.
all sorts
That's
of
true.
nuances.
Yeah.
So I guess what I say is all of your customers could need you, but find the one that is a profitable customer base, that is a process that you can repeat on a recurring basis, scale it down, get really crystal clear about what their problem is, and speak just to them. Here's a quick example. Plumbing. Everybody knows plumbing. If you own a home or rent a home, you know what plumbing is. Water come out of the sink, the toilets, water heaters,
Yeah.
all the stuff, right? It's easy for everyone to understand. Plumbing company comes to us years ago. And by the way, I appreciate the accolades on the dollars that we've helped companies earned. It's a team. We've had a team. We've had amazing people work for us for the last 12 years. So it's just not me. That being said, plumbing company, 2-year-old company comes into our world. They want help growing. They're roughly a 18-month to 20-month-old company at the time.
Yeah.
Competing in the plumbing market in most major cities is hard. There are
Yeah.
1,000 of them. Competing in
Absolutely.
Google ads is expensive. It actually costs more than you would think, but $20 to $40 a click in the market that they were in. $20 to
Whoa.
$40 a click.
That's enormous.
Hear me correctly. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So the question is how do we take a small competitor, which I think is one of our big angles? How do we take small competitors against big competitors and find a way in to win?
Yeah.
And so here's how we do it. One of their most profitable services and one that closes the fastest was water heater repair.
Oh,
Okay.
of
So if someone's
course.
water
Of
heater goes
course.
out, nobody wants to take a cold shower on purpose more than
That's
once,
true.
right? I mean, you know, how many times you want to sign up for that unless you're doing cryotherapy and you're into that world, which is actually, it's good for your body, but not everybody's into that.
Yeah, especially me.
So here's the thesis. Water heater repair is an emergency service. It's a high ticket service, and
Yep.
people want it now.
Yep.
Okay, not bad for a
Easy
startup.
sell.
We don't have to say, hey, let's take forever to redo the plumbing in the house. No, no. So water heater repair, though, is a $20, $30, $40 keyword. I don't know exactly the numbers now, but it was expensive. So we said, okay, if water heater repair is the actual solution, this is the actual product that they need to buy. What is the actual triggering event that causes the water heater to go out? And is there a way for us to know that the water heater is about to go out before it goes out and becomes an emergency? It turned out there were 5 things.
That is interesting.
Turned out there were 5 things that if the homeowner knew or saw them or noticed them, they could possibly catch the water heater before it turned into an absolute emergency. So here's the easiest example. One way to know that your water heater might be going out is if you get into the shower and you turn on the hot water and it doesn't get hot.
Oh.
We found that was a search 2,000 times a month in not just the local market, but around the country. And the query was something to the effect of no hot water in the shower. What we learned was that not everyone knows that the water heater could be the reason why the shower isn't hot. So the triggering event was I got in the shower to go to work. I wanted it to be hot. It isn't hot. I wonder why that is. Let's ask Google, because I don't know necessarily that it's the water heater if I'm a first-time home buyer, right? 2,000 times per month.
Very clever.
So we made sure that we were ranking on the first page of Google for that phrase. And by the way, we took the first page of Google. And for your audience right now, you could actually Google that phrase right now and still find our former client on the first page of Google. That's how you win the game. And then we, of course, ran ads against it. So we made sure that anytime someone typed up no hot water in the shower or any variation, our client was there. Guess who wasn't there? The biggest companies on the planet. They weren't there.
Of course, because they're paying the $20 to $30 to $40 for a keyword.
Right.
And that's slick. That's really
we can duplicate this in almost any arena. And this is how we help small companies get into the big leagues, right? If you just look for places that your big competitors aren't thinking about, or go one step earlier in the journey of the problem, and then be a little bit patient. Now, in this case, it's an emergency, but for me as a lawyer, or when I was going through that situation, as I mentioned with the divorce situation, when I went doing those searches, whenever that was, there was no lawyers that showed up. You know what it was? It was like online forums of some sort. So if a lawyer is ranking for that phrase that's in my head, and then I've got
you got a lot of business. This is so important what you're saying, Darrell, and I think it's something that we rarely think about. Now, while you were talking, and I have my experiences in business as well. If somebody asked me what would be the first thing you would do now, like, so here's a new business, etc. The first things first, and you want to work backwards. I would do my marketing plan first. And I want to talk to all of you new business owners who want to avoid learning about marketing. You just want to do your thing or give your thing or here's my product, but you don't want to actually master your marketing. You're sabotaging your efforts. You're sabotaging your ability to scale. So what I always do when I look at my new business is like, what am I scared of most right now? If it's, I don't have a plan for marketing, or I don't have this is the first thing. We can hire agencies that'll make memes all day for us, but that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for a marketing agency that has the fundamentals down first. And you really want to invest in yourself. They always say, invest in yourself, read a book. You want to get these fundamentals down. I love the questions you were asking, Darrell. I love the putting yourself in your clients, get up at 11 o'clock at night and sit in front of the computer and the client you serve and all their demographics. That's not what we're looking for, he said. What is it that you're looking for? You're looking for how they're going to think, where they're going to actually look for information. That's the first thing. Where are they going to look for information? So in some instances, it's Google. In some instances, it could be LinkedIn. Who knows? But where are they going to get the answer to the problem that you solve. You have to be specifically clear here. Darrell said you have to know what problem you solve. You have to know it so well that you can sit down and look past your client. So what he did with this, how do I take my client who's startup right now and make them top of mind against the big plumbing competitors? And we just went through that example right there. That's how you have to be thinking. And by the way, Darrell, I want to say that I think that type of thinking is actually a skill set. I don't think it's something that's acquired. You have to learn to think outside of that box or outside of your filter. Now, one of the things I know people drown in doing when they first come out with something is all they want to do is tell you how good their product is, what it can do and what it can this and what it can what it can do. And they somehow get to the point where they're not even telling them how it's going to solve their problem. They're just like, it's got this many RAM and this, they're so product focused. And I want to know, like, if you're starting right now and you were making a marketing plan for a new company, and you're asking that new business owner to focus on how their product solve the problem, what three, outside of how does this solve your problem, what three key factors might you look at? You mentioned being able to look at what lawyers were keywords they were competing for.
Mm-hmm.
You bypass that completely. And there must be, you were like, yeah, I'm not paying $20 to $40 for a keyword for my client. You're out of your mind. Now, here's the thing, get out of your mind, get into your creativity. What kind of questions can they ask themselves to help them go out into their client's mind more?
Yeah. It's a great question because I sit on the side of being a marketer now for 25, going on 30 years, a digital marketer since 2003, owning an agency for 12 years. So obviously I have a lot of data. I have a lot of insight. I get a lot of at-bats. I look at analytics. I've been reading accounts for a long time. So it is a bit native to me. As much as I would walk into a world-class restaurant, because I love to eat, I'm a foodie, and I just awe at how they create a meal that is $180 that I could have got for $30 at Applebee's. But anyway, that's for another conversation. But I'm in awe. I'm in awe. So I want to demystify some of this because I teach strategies so if you're starting a business and maybe you don't have any customers, you're like, okay, great, Darrell, but I don't have any customers. So I don't actually know what they're thinking. So let me give you a few ideas.
Interesting.
One of the questions is this: is there anyone else who are already selling to my existing customer? The answer is yes, because if there isn't anyone else in your market, you might want to reconsider the business. I think some people miss that, but you want to find a competitive industry. Why? Because there's proof of concept and there's people willing to spend revenue. So let's say, what I do is say, let's go find your top 5 competitors. Number one, let's find your top 5 competitors. Let's find them on Google. Let's find them if they're selling books or things on Amazon. Let's go find out if they've got big followings on social media. And what we do is we put ourselves through, number one, a research project. There is gold in your competitors' online reviews, on your Amazon, on their Amazon reviews, in their Yelp profile. You will find out what their customer, because by the way, if they sell to your customer, then that means they're selling to your customer. And that means you can look at the good reviews and the bad reviews and find out what they loved and what they hated. That's going to give you intel. We had a math tutoring company out of San Francisco come to us that were tutoring, I think, 3rd graders to 6th graders. And they were kind of a startup and they didn't have a lot of tracking in the market. But there are places like Mathnasium, which is a worldwide international franchise. So all we had to do was go look at Mathnasium's product and look at their reviews and look at what moms were saying about why they chose to get their kid in their program. So you can start reverse engineering competitor reviews. So that's tip number one. Tip number two are research tools, right? Today, I don't like to get too crazy with the tools because sometimes the tools will lead you down a path that is too competitive. Because again, the tools populate the most popular search phrases and the most popular queries. But all the tools now have a neat little feature where if you do put in your main keyword, an SEMrush,
Mhm.
Uber Suggest, or any of these tools, they also now have a tab that they have started gathering all the questions that are related to that keyword. So that can help. So that's kind of an
Yes.
item number two. You can start finding the questions. But number three, to your question, is really understanding, to your point, of taking it off of you and your product and how cool it is, whatever it is you created, and really get back into the seat of your customer and what's the end outcome that they want. In my business, what we do in the back of the house, right? What I do in the back of the house, what our team does, PPC, Google Ads, keyword research, SEO, blogging, blah, blah, the WordPress, landing page optimization, HubSpot, all that. That's just the stuff that nobody cares about. My clients really want? They want four things. They want a strategy because
Yep.
they've admitted they don't have one.
Yep.
They want someone to work with who has the skill to pull it off.
That's right.
They want someone who can help leverage their time, because they either don't, most of my
Yep.
clients don't have 10-person marketing teams. There's usually
Spot
one
on.
person, two people at most,
Yeah.
sometimes three or four, but they don't have $250,000, $300,000 marketing budgets. So they want someone who can help them leverage time. And the most important thing is they want an ROI. You know what they
That's
don't
right.
call me and tell me about? They don't call me and say, "Oh, Darrell, we're interested in having you do content marketing for us. Oh, Darrell, we'd like to have you do Google Ads." No, 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 no. What they're asking for is, we've been doing it, or we'd like to do it, but we only want to do it if it's going to make us money,
That's right.
right? So we're only selling them the end result. It's our job in the back of the house to figure out how we take the technologies and make it get to the result. Our clients pay us on monthly retainer. They keep us around as long as we're making the money. And I've got clients that have been around. We've got clients been around since 2011. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying, because we've had plenty of clients leave inside of those years too. But the mechanism is creating a solution that meets their desire, and the things or the processes or the pieces or all those things in the middle that you brag about, you care about them. They don't. So speak to
That's
only
right.
what they care about if you're a startup. And I know it gets exciting when you build your own SaaS product, and it gets exciting when you start your website. But be careful, like you said, of being too forward with the features, and be sure to highlight the benefits of them consuming, using, or interacting with your
Beautiful.
product or service.
Darrell, I got to say, I love your insights on this, because a lot of times people are sold a bill of, well, you just throw money at Facebook ads and it happens overnight. And I want to talk to that, because I think that we feel like there's an end point to marketing. It's like, oh, I'm finally off
Oh,
the
yeah.
ground. I don't need you anymore. And
Right.
the truth is, that's just not true. That is just absolutely a lie there. And you're, I think, harming your business more by getting to the point where you think that marketing isn't a division of your company. But my question surrounds, when you start out and you get some momentum, and you begin getting some momentum, and it's time to scale out, you want to scale your business. And maybe, like you said in the beginning, it's two people who are just running their butts off, and maybe they get that third person. And as they start to ramp up, do you help them scale out their marketing, scale out their message, and scale out their team? Because I can tell you, there are two things that are really, really bad for a business. One is no customers. And the second thing is too many customers, because I have done that. I've blown my business up with too many people coming in and doing it all yourself, because you didn't have time to go scale out. And to
Yeah.
me, if your marketing is good, you're going to begin to need these things as part of your marketing plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Scaling is, are we all good?
Yeah, we're all good. I'm
Okay.
just looking at my internet there going, oh,
Oh, it's telling you
this is
something.
not a good time, internet, to be acting up. I'm a
Oh,
little
I can,
pixelated, but we'll get,
that's okay. I think we're good. Yeah.
okay, good.
So yeah, your points are extremely valid, right? Scaling, What we've learned in 12 years running this agency is we can also be a contributing factor to smaller businesses breaking. Because if you think about it, you can turn Google ads on and off. You can turn Facebook ads on and off, but you can't turn SEO off. So when you hire a team to
Yeah.
start really help, so you got to be careful what you ask for. So when you bring a company like ours in, you've got to be prepared internally. You got to have systems. You got to have operational functionality. We actually have been fired for blowing companies up too quick. And not because we were so good, but because they were actually more, and that's not the work that we do at our agency. We're not working on infrastructure. We're not working on operational systems.
right.
That's not what we do. They need to have it. So there's two things to think about. The thing about scaling and building out the team and how we help clients do that is where a typical marketing salary today is $75,000 for someone who's really good. And that one person only gets 40 hours a week, no matter how many hours, it don't matter what you ask that person, they only got 40 hours a week. Now, if you work on a death, they just won't stay. But let's say you're going to get 40 hours a week. Well, that's 160 hours a month, 2,080 hours a year on a typical US work schedule. What we do as a company is for the same price or even less in many cases, we bring all of the skill sets necessary. And most people agree that there's no one person, there's no unicorn marketer who is both creative, analytical, who has the copywriting skill, who knows analytics, who knows how to navigate paid ad platforms, who's a good blogger, who's a good writer of social media posts, who's a good graphic designer, who's a video editor.
Trades.
And the problem is, I can't tell you how many companies we run across who hire one really phenomenal person and beat them to death with 42 things that they're responsible for. So the vast majority of our clients are marketing managers and marketing directors, actually, who have been given that role. And now they're drowning and they've been begging for some resources, but the company's like, well, you can get another 5,000 a month and that's it. So then he or she says, oh, so I can take the 42 things I have to do and I'll make them now 21. I'm really excited about that. So when you look at an agency like ours, we're built for agile growth, which means I'm the one who's paying the salaries for subject matter experts in all of those categories. I'm the one who brings what is essentially a fractional unicorn type employee, because we can navigate around the need for creative and or the need for copy and or the need for ads and or the need for analytics and or the need for CRO, because I can build it out in my system, because I can do it a little bit for this client, a little bit for that client, a little bit for that client, and I can cover the salary of a superstar under my umbrella. But then you can also get the leveraging piece. So our agency is essentially like a unicorn marketing employee, but it's really 20 of us, right?
And that's so important, because the thing about the do it all yourself alone, okay, in the beginning, when you first start, you're going to go ahead. And I'm speaking to everybody who's startup, or I don't care where you are. If you're not even at six figures, you're trying to do it all yourself most of the time with one VA. And you're going to hit burnout. I know this personally, been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Same here.
And the thing is, instead of building the division of marketing out into your company, I love the outsourcing ability that you have to be able to hire Darrell and his company and team, have all these unicorns and superstars. There is a world of genius working for you without you having to do all the hiring, without you having to do all the payroll, without you having to deal with the taxes. There are some benefits, real strong benefits to having a good marketing person, a marketing partner behind you. That's somebody that you can say, okay, my business is growing this way. And to me, once you find somebody who can give you the goods, don't fire them. Figure out where you need to scale and keep them in place. You can't grow without marketing right now. It's too competitive. And I don't care if you're online or brick and mortar. Right. It's competitive world. No matter where you are, if you start your business, it's not a small business, it's a big business overnight. You put your website up, you are open to the world market, not your local little neighborhood diner. The entire world is now your market. And this is the thing. The entire world is chattering. And to get to the point where that you're top of mind with somebody, I think you have to have some very practical, foundational plumbing and electrical in your business. And that plumbing and electrical is all based on marketing. And you want somebody who thinks outside of the box. And Darrell, I love how you think outside of the box for this marketing pieces. And I want to
Thank you.
talk to everyone right now and say, listen, I know there are people, listen, if you're driving and you're listening to the show and you're Pandora or iHeartRadio, wherever you are, relax. It's going to be in the show notes when I get done asking them. You'll be able to access it. Drive safe. Don't try to type or text and drive. Just relax. But I know some of you are going, I got to talk to this dude today. I got to get him I got to get to this guy today. And so I want to be able to share with my audience, Darrell, and Robin, would you do me a favor and put it in put his web address and anything else he gives us inside that thing, and I'll pop it on screen. So you won't even have to look at the show notes. You can just look back over here and go, oh, there's the web address. Because I know there are a lot of people right now listening, Darrell, going, I got to work with this team. I got to find who they are. How can they get a hold of you? Share your secret.
Yeah, I think there's 2 places, right? So there are some listening to this show that some of the numbers we've talked about here may be a little scary, meaning 5,000 a month, 7,000 a month. That might be a little rich for some listening to the show. But if you need that superstar employee partnership where we can have a conversation about that, you would want to go over to yokellocal.com. That's YOKELLOCAL.com. If you're not that far along, maybe you're in your early stages from 50K in revenue to 100K to 250K, something like that, then I do have a coaching program where we teach you the frameworks. Because as Vicky said, and thank you so much for the kind words, I believe that, there's enough tactics on the planet. There's a book over my shoulder if you're looking at this live on
seen
Facebook.
Your whole library.
It's called The Art of War. And there's a message in that book, out of the thickness of that book, that I just have lived by. And that is tactics before strategy is the noise before defeat. So you got to get your strategy right. And I'm not talking about this esoteric thing. I'm saying things that we've talked about today. Like, let's get really finite about who you want to reach, what your product does, how it solves a problem. And let's understand the buyer's journey for that. If we get clear on the buyer's journey, we'll know exactly what to do, no matter what the budget. So if you want to connect with me personally, I'm, of course, everywhere on social at Mr. Darrell Evans. And then my personal website is darrelevans.net, DARRELLEVANS.net. Thank you, Robin.
On the screen.
Thank you, Robin. Appreciate that. Vicky, may I share something that maybe, again, back to the startup audience? There's a $1 a day marketing tactic that I think everyone listening to the show should be doing. We're even advising this for our biggest clients. And that is in light of this post-pixel world, this iOS 14 world. I, as a copywriter / direct response marketer / you've heard me talk about lead generation and revenue, I have not been the person who's been barking and yelling from the rooftops about brand awareness. But I will say this. Today, there's never been a better time to build a brand and let's just say it this way, where television, radio, billboard, and TV advertising had the day, there is a way to do that same metric on social media for $1 a day. I got pitched by Fox Media Network reached out to us and said, hey, we'd like to introduce this product that you can resell to your clients. And I said, sure, let's talk about it. We don't do this type of work typically, but if it makes sense, I'll pass it on, because we always pass on good ideas to our clients, even if we don't deliver it. That's another thing, is we never get in the way of, if we don't sell it, that if it's a good idea, we give it to our clients, even if we don't get paid. I want you got to know you're working with an agency that's not holding all the ideas for themselves. So I took the call, and here's what it ended up being. And I'll see if I can make this a simple math equation. Television advertising, radio, billboards, they all sell based on the number of impressions you're going to get when you do the thing. How many people are going to hear or potentially see or potentially listen to your media? Television ad, radio, billboard, whatever. Well, as marketers, we tend to think about just lead generation and revenue. But if we apply the same philosophy to social media, here's what their pitch was. And I'm not talking about it. I'm just saying what it was. It was $31 to reach 1,000 people. It wasn't $31 a lead. It wasn't $31 a sale. It was $31 just to have the right to put the message in front of someone. Just stick with me. $31 to get to 1,000 people. In the old day with TV, radio, and billboard, you could be spending $100 to $200 to get to a person. If you're advertising on the Super Bowl, there were 105 million people who watched the Super Bowl, and this year they paid $6.5 million for a 30-second ad. Do the math on that and then come right back to me. With social media, you would be hard pressed, and we'll talk Facebook and Instagram for this audience. You would be hard pressed to spend $5 to reach 1,000 people using $1 a day strategy, the same way that TV, radio, and billboards have made a living and a career. So if you believe that top of mind awareness and brand awareness matters, and you'd rather spend $5 to reach 1,000 people versus $31 to reach 1,000 people, that'd be another thing to think about as a startup. If you want to know how to do that, that's another thing we can help you with, because not everyone's ready for scale. Sometimes you just need to be visible, right? So Vicki, that's another thing that's entered my world. And this is a topic that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I wouldn't have been barking from the rooftops about brand awareness. But I think today in a post-iOS world, there's a way now to use that at the top visibility, because every business that is starting has to be visible. And the entrepreneur can't go to enough networking groups.
That's right.
they can't go to enough long. It's not happening. You can't be everywhere at the same time. This is a way to be everywhere at the same time.
I think this is like, such an important conversation we're having. It's like you have a business and it's like having a beautiful car, fancy with all the bells and whistles. But marketing is the gasoline that you put in the car. And no matter how beautiful your car is, if it doesn't have that gas, it isn't going anywhere. You're not going to get anything done. And so for me, investing in the right type of marketing, investing in a marketing, and you want to have somebody who's going to show you how to be visible, is the thing that you absolutely, that's why I start with first. It's great if I have a car, but where's the gas station? Where's your gas station? If you don't have a gas station in your local area, you're not going to get very far. And so you can't constantly be going to the car and saying, well, I'm going to get my own gas. I'll just run over with these 2 cans and fill them up. And then I'll put the gas in there in the car, and I'll go for a few miles until it stops. Then I'll get out the gas cans, go run over to the gas station, fill them up again, and go over. You want somebody who's going to be able to fill the tank consistently. You want a gas station on every corner, and you want to get gas that is priced at a rate that you can afford, that the ROI is absolutely there. And you can say, I'm getting good gas mileage. Are you getting good marketing mileage with who you're working with? Darrell and his team are the gas stations that you need to get your car rolling where you want it to go. Because if you're trying to do it the old way, which I'm going to grab these gas cans and go run over here, get a little gas, put it in the car and try to go a little ways, you're going nowhere. This is the whole point of working with professionals. And so if you're in the business right now and you're like, okay, $5,000 to $7,000 a month is absolutely key. That's the key marker to get the gas in your car, to get your car to the destination. It's like if you're driving from New York or California to New York, cross country, whatever you're doing or wherever you are, you already know you're going to have to up your game with the gas. You can't say, okay, I only have $100 and I want that $100 to get me to New York. It's not going to happen. So you want to be really clear that your business is going to need this consistently forever. Somebody that you can say, this is who I work with. If you're going to outsource the division, have some discernment about who you're outsourcing it to.
Ooh, she's preaching.
And to me, this is, well, I have done the cheap stuff and I've made these mistakes, which is why I'm saying it. I've made these mistakes already, and I don't want you to suffer and the loss of money we did, the loss of consumers we did, or have your business explode so quickly. You want to have somebody who's actually going to be working with you and keeping that pulse with you. I love that you can keep him on retainer. And if you own any kind of business, you know how important having a marketing firm is on retainer. Oh God, that's a unicorn move right there, just being on retainer.
Yeah.
So Darrell, I want to say we're coming to the top of the show.
Mm-hmm.
YokelLocal.com is where you can reach him. What would you say to your client right now, the last part of this show? What do you want them to know about you, your business, and how you can help them?
I thank you, Vicky, for having me, and for everyone who's listening to this show today and following Vicky's show everywhere. These opportunities, I want to say, first of all, there are no secrets in marketing. There are just things you just don't know yet.
Yeah.
Right. If it hasn't worked up till this point, just be okay with it having not worked. Just understand that there is a solution out there waiting for you. And sometimes it takes just being open to new ideas. So I like to say to people is what you said, having discernment. You made me chuckle because it's one of my favorite words. And unfortunately, I sit in the seat of talking to many frustrated business owners who have spent tens of thousands of dollars on failed tactics, failed ideas, not because the platform was the problem. Instagram wasn't the problem. Facebook wasn't the problem. Google wasn't the problem. It was the strategy that was the problem. And so I think what I'd say is no matter where you are right now, be open to the fact that it can work. Be open to the fact that you will have to do what Vicky said, which is to make an investment. I want to give you a slight warning at the time of us airing this show. There are some news headlines right now that are starting to sound a little grim. And I need you to ignore those headlines, because it doesn't matter if factually we do or don't enter a recession, or if everyone else is laying people off. You can still grow your business.
That's
right. I think it was Peter Drucker who said it, who is back in the 80s or early 90s, and that marketing and innovation are what drive companies. Everything else is a cost. So to Vicky's point, and this is not because I'm a marketing guy today, I am a marketing guy, but the facts are the facts. We just have to look back 2 years ago to watch people stop marketing their businesses during the pandemic. Don't stop marketing your business. You must market your business for whatever reason. When things get tough, or when we're just getting started, we think of marketing as the first thing that we can sideline.
Yeah.
I mean, where does this philosophy come from? So those are the companies that struggle through hard times. I'm not suggesting we're going to hit hard times. I'm suggesting that the news is trying to tell you, and I'm telling you, don't participate in the news, but you do have to come up with a strategy, whether you have $1 a day to start. And by the way, I like to say $5 a day is sort of the minimum way to do that brand awareness strategy, but technically you can start with $1 a day. But you've got to start there all the way up to perhaps working with a company like ours. I just want to say this last thing. When you talk to an agency, whether it's ours or any other, or you talk to a marketing expert or someone you're hiring to do consulting, if they can't show you case studies, if they can't eloquently describe what they're going to do after you write the check or swipe the credit card, there are no secrets. They need to be transparent with you. They need to tell you what their failures have been or where they've gotten it wrong. They need to tell you how they're going to operate, because technically, while they do have the gas for the car, most of the time when you hire a firm like us, you're actually asking us to drive the car too. And the last thing you want somebody to do is drive that sucker off the road.
You got that right.
You don't want them to drive it off the road and then hand you back the keys and say, I screwed up. And I just heard this story yesterday. A company out of Texas called me and said the guy has never called them back for 5 months. Whoa. Like, what is this? We've got to do something about this crap in this industry. I'm sorry.
And I got to say, that's happened to me. I call it ghosting.
Terrible.
I was like, they ghosted us. And we emailed them every day, called them every day. Hello, you got my check. You know, and that's happened a couple of times. You have to be super careful. Darrell, I love what you said. I love that you just said there are no secrets. You don't have any kind of success stories or something. There's so many things that you have helped us look at marketing in such a positive way today. It's just amazing. I'm really thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me.
Such a refreshing conversation on something that people are so afraid of. They're afraid of marketers like they're afraid of dentists, you know. And they're so necessary when you get the right one there. So I can say Darrell is on the table right now. We have his everything there. Darrell, thank you for being on the Coffee Break Show today. It has been exquisite talking to you.
It has been absolutely my pleasure. I hope the listening audience has picked up one or two nuggets that they can take away and help their business move forward in marketing and revenue generation. Thank you so much for allowing me some time on your platform. I really appreciate it.
All right, you guys, I'll see you next week. I want to let you know we bring the best experts on, just like we did today, and we'll see you next Wednesday on the Coffee Break Show. Bye-bye.